Hello, and welcome to Talks on Docs, a documentary review podcast where the co-hosts and guests discuss, review, and give recommendations on any and all types of documentaries. Episode 43. For this episode, Sean selected Prime, Crafting a Nation. HB selection is on HULU or on Disney+, free solo. And Sturdy's selection is Netflix, Fire in Paradise. I don't do Windows crap. I freaking hate Skype because they're owned by Microsoft. And the list goes on and on. And apparently Skype needs to have a longer or faster download speed because it wasn't good enough for the last couple of years.
That sucks.
Using Microsoft products on Apple computers. Doesn't work.
Well, I got time to scan my computer for malware, and I'm safe.
Nice.
While waiting
for
me to figure all this nonsense out. Alright. Sorry about that, you guys. That was quite the delay. Like half an hour delay.
It's alright, I'm almost ready for my second beer.
Good. What are you drinking?
Yeah. I started off the evening, round 2, with a Nevada Blonde from Revision in our little town here of Sparks.
Nice.
Keeping it local.
Yeah, you are. It's about as local as you can freaking get.
Yeah.
There's nobody else other than Revision. Well, no, now there's Lead Dog. That's the other brewery.
Is that here in town?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Great Basin's technically in Chico, isn't that, aren't they?
No, that's Sierra Nevada.
No, it's Sierra Nevada that's in Chico.
There we go. Yeah, I think that's my second choice. I went with the old craft and the new craft.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's just hold all that conversation until we get to that documentary. Let's not spoil our own podcast.
Yeah, alright. Well, let me polish this one off.
Right. Well, I'm drinking whiskey. I'm drinking some generic Irish whiskey. That was cheap.
Just says Irish whiskey on it.
Basically.
White label.
It was something like Dunmore Dew or something. I don't know. I saved $9 according to Rayleigh's. But those beers, I mean, well, we'll get into it Have you guys had any eventful things this week?
I did.
What happened to you, Sean?
My wife sent me a text on, I think it was Wednesday, and said, "Hey, check out this house. It looks kind of cool." Now, granted, I've been living in this house for 11 years, and I have no desire to move out of this house.
Yeah.
Because I hate moving, and it's a pain.
Yes.
And so I started checking out the house, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
So we got a realtor, and we went down and looked at it on Friday. The good news is the lot is amazing, but the house is crap. So
yeah,
I was able to say, you know what, I don't think we want to do that house. But then I found another one. So
yeah.
So we're getting ready to sell our house. So if anybody wants a house
in South Reno.
In South Reno.
Do you guys have a good amount of equity?
Yeah, we should be able to get $250 out of it.
Nice.
Okay.
And this new place that we're looking at is on an acre, and it's got a horse stable, and it's brand new, renovated. It'll be pretty cool if we can get it. So
is it in Washoe or Steamboat?
It's in Steamboat.
Okay, because the other one was in Washoe, and I was like, man, we're gonna have to find somebody replacing you, because I don't know if they even know what the internet is in Washoe.
That house had cable to it. It had cable to it. But yeah, the house looked really good in the pictures, and then we got there, and it was someone had slapped some lipstick on that pig, and it was the house was in bad shape. But the lot, if somebody wanted to build a dream home on it, the lot is amazing.
Yes.
It's right off of the highway, but set back enough that you don't have to listen to the highway noise.
Right.
And on 3 acres with a well that was overflowing when we got there.
Oh wow!
Like it's pretty good rural living if that's what you're looking for. But you'd want to replace the house.
Yes.
What was that going for in the ballpark of?
It was $500,000.
It's about average around here.
Yeah, for 3 acres. For 3 acres, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's good for 3 acres, actually, yeah.
Is everybody on Disney Plus now? You're not, though, are you, HB?
No, I'm on. I just haven't watched Mandalorian yet.
What's wrong with you?
You're kidding me.
You call yourself a Star Wars fan.
Well, I'm a fan. I'm not a freak. I mean, you know.
I've watched episode 1 twice and episode 2 once.
Man, I guess your kids are just neglected. Jeez.
Yeah, for sure. I've been house hunting and watching Mandalorian. What are you up to?
No, I mean, it's on my list. I just, working a little overtime and, just haven't had a chance. Trust me, I want to. Maybe I'll have to, take a long lunch or something.
Well, Mandalorian, it's what? 2
An
weeks
hour?
out now? No, it's been out for what, 2 weeks now? Or
I
1
heard
week?
the second episode's out, isn't it?
Tuesday.
Yeah, okay.
It's Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Dude, it's good.
But no, yeah, Disney Plus seems pretty sweet. I mean, just looking through it and flipping through it, and yeah, I'm pretty excited to get into it more.
Yeah, I've watched about half of the teen movies so far. With my girls, that's fun.
Well, I know one thing you're disappointed about, Sean, in Disney Plus.
What's that?
It doesn't have the Jar Jar avatar that you could select, right?
I know. I haven't gone in and built my avatar yet, so I didn't even know they didn't have Jar Jar, unfortunately.
Who'd you pick?
It has R2-D2.
Of course.
I've got R2-D2 going.
Who'd you get the kids? Did the kids get their own?
Quint selected Baby Groot. That's the only other one that's been selected. So.
All right, we've got Bolt for our kids. They're big Bolt fans. And then I went with Wally for mom and dad, a little old school Wally.
I've been doing yard work all day. Got rid of 1,700 pounds of trash.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does your HOA, do you have an HOA that comes by and does anything for you?
Oh, no. No, dude. We don't have, I'm not on an HOA. That's why I bought where I'm at, man.
Up in the boat?
Yeah, I don't deal with that nonsense. But we're on half an acre, so I've got tons of leaves and yard work, and like half of the yard debris was left over from last year. I think most of the weight was in these 3 55-gallon. No, not 55-gallon. What are those, like 50-gallon, 45-gallon? Yeah, 45-gallon trash cans that were pure rock, and water. So I think that's where a lot of the weight came from. And the rest of it was just like my father-in-law, tons of cardboard boxes. Yeah, styrofoam. Yep. Tons of that sitting in there, but that doesn't weigh.
It takes a lot of styrofoam to get up to 1,700 pounds.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, man. That's how much he orders. 1,700 pounds worth.
Yeah, our HOA supposedly comes by. Last week they came by and they do like we have like a grass area between the street and the sidewalk. And they came by and just hoovered up all the leaves and everything. And I'd seen, my neighbor and I had talked about it. We see all the other neighborhood like folks are blowing their leaves from their front all the way out to the street and the sidewalk.
That's illegal.
I hadn't had time. And then sure enough, that night I get home and everything's immaculate. Because the landscape company that the HOA pays came through and just hoovered them all up and just. So what do I do last week? It's like I have the most despicable redneck looking front like sidewalk area because it's got just pile of leaves, and the landscape company hasn't come back.
Yeah.
So hopefully they come soon, or else it's just gonna be. My neighbor's going to hate me.
It's illegal to blow your leaves out into the streets because we had to respond to a couple of those calls of neighbors calling on neighbors for blowing their leaves out into the street.
Is it blocks the drains or something?
Yeah, because it becomes a pollutant because it ends up going into the storm drain and clogging the storm drains to where the storm drains can't empty out into the river, and that's why we end up with flooding issues. As we do every year now, it seems like.
All right. Well, I'll text you my address to make sure you are delayed in responding, I guess.
Right.
A good enough storm event cleans those out anyway. It's not that big a deal.
No, it isn't. It's just we have to respond, just like police. If you get the call, you got to go, and then you got to explain. Yeah, well, you can't blow out your leaves out into the street. You got to bag them up. That's what I've been doing. I've been debating, do I like leaf blowers or raking more? So, HB, you use a leaf blower?
I use a leaf blower with a sucker attachment. So I can blow and suck all in one machine.
Yeah, you can.
And it shrinks the size after you suck it up.
What about you, Sean?
My shop vac has a blower attachment that detaches, like you can detach the motor and use it as a blower.
Right.
So that's what I do. I drag a cord around and blow the leaves. Right. I blow them into the grass and then mow them.
Yeah, I did that this year. I did do some mowing, and that did help me out. It was a lot less time consuming.
All right. Well, that's pretty clever there. I haven't thought about that. I should have. But yeah, so I've been debating that all last 2 weeks, but I've become really sufficient in my raking skills as well too, and I've been like kind of naming them. My my raking stroke. So there's like the long, slow stroke.
Okay.
That does good on the really big leaves, and then I've got some locust leaves that they've got the smaller leaves and they grind up. So the fast quick stroke that works really well.
So is it more of a deep stroke on the first one and a shallow stroke on the second?
Well, see, there is changes on that. Yes, depending on it. Yes, you do have to apply a little bit more pressure at the beginning of the stroke.
Mm-hmm,
and then when you stroke back, you got to release that pressure. It does really good on the performance there of picking up those leaves.
How's the chafing? I mean, are you getting some blisters?
No. Well, and then there's the final one. The final stroke of the rake is the
finishing stroke, if you will.
The coup de grace.
Yeah. Well, the no teeth stroke. And that's when you flip it over upside down to get some added removal of those leaves.
Oh, okay.
Especially on those ones that are really grounded down and really hard to get off. To get out.
The cleaning stroke.
Yes. You got to use the no teeth stroke method.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of thought and process that's gone into my raking.
You spend some time out there, yeah. There's one benefit to doing the rake. It's much quieter and much more, solitude.
Yes.
I have to wear earbuds or I get a serious headache after a good hour or two of blowing and sucking. It's the kids won't hang around for it either. They end up going inside.
Yeah. Comes uncomfortable like when your father-in-law lives in the room next to you too, and making all that noise, and he doesn't like the noise and all. So
I don't have that problem. I don't keep my family that close. We don't love each other that much, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We are Talks on Docs. We are your co-hosts. I'm Sturdy.
I'm HB.
And I'm Sean.
All right. So for Apple Podcast ratings and reviews, emails, and corrections, we have absolutely nothing.
Oh, man.
Boom.
So anybody who's actually listening to this, please send us something. I don't care. Send in a scathing review. That'd be awesome. Or a 1-star review, or send us an email. We've never gotten an email. No, we did get one. And we've gotten the corrections. Those are always fun. Correct me on my methods of raking.
Yes. Or my opinions on the space-time continuum and the flux capacitor.
Yes. In comparison to the Marvel take on.
All that BS.
I will say, I was a little disappointed in Disney Plus. They don't have all the Marvel movies on there. Do they not own all of them or something?
No, they have to.
Yeah.
They're just probably phasing them in.
Which one wasn't on there?
A bunch of them aren't on there.
Oh, really?
Ragnarok, I noticed. There's a couple other ones.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
They might still be in contract with like Netflix or Prime or something. Especially Ragnarok, because that did really well on Netflix.
Yeah.
So maybe it's still on contract with Netflix or something. That might be it. But they've got to go to Disney at some point.
Yeah.
Well, there was something else I was going to say about Disney Plus.
Do you guys have any problems like the first startup setup day? I heard a bunch of crazy complaints, which really I think were pretty stupid.
Yeah, I got on at 5.
In the morning?
Yeah. I always get up at 5. It's an old habit. But
Well, I get up early too, but I wasn't primed for Disney like that.
Well, I downloaded the app as soon as I started making coffee while I was downloading the app. So
Nice.
But yeah, I had trouble on my Fire TV getting it to come on. Like I watched a cartoon. The first thing I watched was Mickey's Trailer, classic 1938 cartoon. That's my favorite Mickey cartoon. So that was the first thing I watched. But then I tried to pull up Mandalorian and it wouldn't start. But I was able to watch it by that evening. So.
Well, I'm sure that's the first one that everybody went to was Mandalorian.
Oh, I'm sure.
Say like 80% of the people downloading or trying to get to something was Mandalorian. Even like the last night when the second episode came out, we just started watching it about the same time it came out randomly. It wasn't like I was planning on it, and it was slow to load as well too. So
when I first got it, I was trying to do it on my phone, and it kept sending me this code to my email, and it's like, check your email for this 6-digit code. And I was checking, and finally I just gave up and actually, did some work, and finally by into work that night around dinner, it popped up, and I was able to log on my phone. But yeah, the first thing I watched was our doc from this week that I picked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it uploaded like, super quick, easy peasy.
Yeah, it really depends on what you're trying to get access to. It's not like an entire software issue or app issue. It's specific to what you're trying to download or watch.
Yeah. Well, now they got the new combo deal I see came out.
Yeah, with
I didn't see that originally.
Yeah, with the Hulu and ESPN too. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, ESPN Plus. Yeah, I'm kind of ticked because I bought the year-long Disney Plus, and I already have Hulu, so I don't know how that's going to work. And then I would love to do the ESPN Plus because I like all the sports podcasts, especially. Yeah. So I don't know how they would work that in if I tack that on.
There might be a way to upgrade to where you just clean out your Hulu account and then, or stop your Hulu account and you just basically bring everything in through that app. I think there's something like that.
It should be cheaper.
Oh yeah, heck of a lot cheaper.
$8.99 for me or something like that, and Disney Plus is $6.99 or something.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing the combo for $12.99.
Yeah, you're basically getting one of them for free.
Yeah.
I did the 3-year subscription, so it was under $5 a month for it.
Yeah.
So
you're in it to win it.
Well, I figured with my daughters, there was no chance we weren't watching Disney Plus for the next 3 years. So.
True.
So on your guys' end of it, have you looked at the trending? So you know how like it typically has like, Marvel, there's like the first title is Marvel and then like next title Star Wars and then they do like documentaries or like trending or new releases.
Right.
Have you guys been looking at the trending one at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you haven't? Because Avatar's been trending. Like number one on mine. Is that the same on yours?
No, Mandalorian's trending number 1 on mine, but
now
Avatar's high on there.
Right.
Yeah, mine's Mandalorian and then Lady and the Tramp.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've
because
seen that one up there.
that live action one was released with Disney Plus. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of surprised. It's interesting that Avatar was, I think it was like on day 3 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there, that Avatar was like way up there, like number 1 as the number 1 trending. And I think that's, it was beating out Marvel, like, Endgame and stuff like that. And I wonder if it's because those have been out recently on Netflix and such. Like everybody's kind of gotten their fill of the Marvel movies, and then they kind of wanted to revert back to something that they hadn't seen for a while, such as Avatar. And that's what Jen's been watching. She watched Avatar for her first Disney Plus movie.
That's funny. I actually watched Avatar this week too. But
did you?
We're going to Disney World
right
in December, and so that they've got the Flight of Passage or Flight of whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The Pandora ride there, so
right.
I wanted to see the movie. I saw the movie, years ago, but I didn't really remember it. So
yeah, I saw it when it first came out in theaters. I'm still impressed of how well they did with the CG of that movie. I mean, it holds up really well from the very first like full on CG, full on 3D, high def movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the visual on that is just crazy good.
Yeah,
I really like that.
We went way off track. of our Apple Podcast ratings and reviews since we had nothing.
must be due to our imbibing for the evening.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go into our selections for next week.
During the next section, the co-hosts keep it fresh and spoiler-free as they announce their selections for next week's podcast.
What are you drinking tonight, Sturdy?
Yeah, on our break there, we went and refilled up our alcoholic drinks. I am drinking a whiskey, an Irish whiskey called Tullamore Dew. Triple distilled. Since 1829. It was cheap.
Costco special?
No, actually. I'm not an alcoholic quite yet. No, I'm just joking. It's actually not that bad, honestly. It's not got quite the kick like a Kentucky bourbon does. It tastes like just a good Irish whiskey, really.
Are you a Jack Daniels fan at all?
I was in high school. I used to drink that like freaking water in high school.
There's a podcast I listen to. I think I've mentioned it. Marty Smith's America, and he is a Jack Daniels follower, disciple, and he has on the latest podcast. No, maybe one or two past. He interviews I think he's called the Brewmaster or something like that. Probably not Brewmaster because it's whiskey. But anyway, he's like the highest ranking guy making whiskey in Jack Daniels. He's like only the seventh man in the history of Jack Daniels whiskey to hold his position. Wow. And basically none of the whiskey passes the factory doors without his approval. And so you learn a lot about whiskey and the different labels. There's all the green label, red label, and I guess the one thing I thought was funny is Frank Sinatra caused them to have a shortage worldwide of Jack Daniels from about 1960 to 1980.
Really?
Because he proclaimed it at his concerts when he would perform the Nectar of the Gods. And
was Jack.
Yeah, it was Jack. And so he's like, yeah, we just had a verbal handshake contract pretty much with him. Wherever he performed, whenever he performed, he'd always find a few bottles of his favorite label, and they'd be ready for him. There was no money. There was all, he just knew he'd never want for Jack for his whole life. Dude, and he was actually awesome. Buried with a bottle of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. That's awesome, dude.
Mm-hmm. I guess they made a special, Jack label, a special super smooth, they're pretty pricey, but line, because this guy, Marty Smith, says he cracks his open on special occasions because it's pretty pricey.
Oh, yeah. So did you move to a different beer there, HB and Sean?
I did. I went to the Sierra Nevada Skiesta Bavarian-style lager, our local craft brewery here in Sierra Nevada. I'm digging it. It reminds me of a Stella, but I'm not a fan of the hoppy, bitter flavor. I don't dig hops and eating plants, so I like a good lager. I'm digging it. I had the revision, and that was good. I'll definitely stick with the blonde revision, but I think the Siesta, as long as I can find it, I'll pick up a 6-pack. I'm going with cans, too, for my first two choices, and then I have a third that I'll crack later in a bottle.
Nice.
Sean, did you switch it up, or?
No, I have the classic Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, the grandfather of craft beers.
Yes, it is. I don't know what it is about craft beers, or there's something in the recipe that causes me to get very congested, like an allergic reaction kind of thing.
Bummer.
I don't know if it's like whiskey I'm fine with, so I guess it's maybe hops.
I mean, should be try a different flavor. Like lagers have less hops than an IPA.
Right. Well, IPAs definitely destroy me.
Maybe it's hard liquor versus beer.
I don't know, man. I'd have to try I don't know, a Guinness and see if it gets me congested or not.
This seems like a worthy experiment that I think we should try. I think we should definitely
I'd like to
get together a lot of beer and figure out which ones. Maybe we'll go down to Craft in Midtown where they've got, 1,000 different beers or something like that you could try.
Yeah. That or Beer Envy down there.
Yeah. Beer Envy. Yeah.
But you can only have one, until you have a reaction, because then you can't tell if it's a reaction before or...
But you can have a lot of that one.
Right. I guess. Well,
maybe we just, you need to rub some essential oils on your nose to clear it up, and then we'll have another beer.
right.
There's got to be an essential oil that'll clear that up, right?
Right, instantly. All right. We'll get into more of that with our one documentary from Sean, but let's go ahead and go on for our selections for next week. Sean, give us yours.
I picked Science Fair on Disney Plus. It's a National Geographic. Hailed by critics as immensely likable, brilliant, and quirky, and an ode to the teenage science geeks on who our future depends, and winner of the Audience Award at Sundance and South by Southwest, National Geographic documentary film Science Fair follows 9 high school students from around the globe as they navigate rivalries, setbacks, and of course hormones on their journey to compete at the International Science and Engineering Fair. As 1,700 of the smartest, quirkiest teens from 78 different countries face off, only one will be named Best and Fair. The film, from Fusion Media and directed by the DuPont Award-winning and Emmy-nominated documentary filmmaking team Christina Constantini and Darren Foster, offers a front seat to the victories, defeats, and motivations of an incredible group of young men and women who are on the path to change their lives and the world through science. It's 90 minutes, and like I said, it's on Disney Plus. Rotten Tomatoes has a 97% tomato meter and an 87% audience score, so pretty high. And it had a 7.8 on IMDb out of 10.
Wow.
Nice. Look back into the geek files here.
Yeah, I
figured it's been a while since we did a geek doc, so
Yeah. I was thinking Sean has some issues. Like, he needs to talk to a psychologist about, like, the types of documentaries he picks, because they're always...
Right.
Geeks and being a teenager and stuff. It's like, I don't know. I think you need to revisit those years or something, Sean.
Okay. Maybe we should watch another LSD doc.
Yeah.
Speaking of teenage years.
You're right. You got me there. But man, that's a big documentary. That's a lot of high scores there and awards. I mean, they won best of in the 2 biggest documentary fests.
Yeah, I was laughing at it, and then I saw the scores that it got, and then it got an audience award at Sundance and South by Southwest. I was like, well,
that's huge.
Maybe it is pretty good.
Yeah. HB, what you got?
Well, I went well off the beaten path this week. We're gonna have to surf to a website, but it is Seattle is Dying. So I don't know if I think we talked about this. I know I've talked about it with some friends. So it's actually not available on a streaming service that I can find, and unless somebody else does. So we're gonna have to have the link maybe built into our post or something.
Yeah, I can take care of that.
Because it's on KOMO News out of Seattle.com.
No, wait. Say those letters again.
KOMO News.
Como
News
at 8.
It's an hour long. It just came out March 14th of this year. It's I'm not sure exactly who it's directed by, but it's by a reporter named Eric Johnson. So I'm also kind of, I realize there might be a slant to this, but everybody talks about it as a doc, and I've watched the first 15, 20 minutes of it, and it's presented like a doc. But the summary is, so Seattle is Dying. It's a harsh title. Someone on social media even called it a hopeless title. I'll admit to you that I wrestled with the name for some time, but in the end I went with it because I believe it is true. Seattle is dying, rotting from within. So this is the 3rd in a series, I guess, and this one, he says, is about everyone else. It's about citizens who don't feel safe taking their families into downtown Seattle. It's about parents who don't take their children into public parks they pay for. It's about filth and degradation all around us, and theft and crime. It's about people who don't feel protected anymore, who don't feel their voices are being heard. So it's pretty powerful stuff, I admit, but it kind of hits, not to this crazy extent, but it does hit home. We're having an issue, I think, developing here in the greater northern Nevada area.
Yeah.
That I think there are different approaches being taken by the two big cities of Reno and Sparks, with Reno being much more like Seattle and San Fran's approach.
Yep.
And I think in the first 15-20 minutes of this doc, they talk about the crime rates of Seattle and then also San Francisco. And compared to other major cities in the U.S., they are off the blanking charts.
Yeah.
And it's definitely an approach of, due to the approach of the governments and the laws and the enforcement action they've allowed the police departments to take, and just overall tolerance or lack of tolerance for the homelessness issue.
Well, so that definitely sounds interesting. Have you guys been up to Seattle? Let's sit on this one for a bit. Have you guys been to Seattle recently?
No, never.
Never?
I've never been to Seattle either.
All right. So I went with Craig. We went to go see U2.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel as unsafe as I do in San Francisco. Because in San Francisco, it's literally like if you're on the wrong side of the street, you're in danger. You know? All you have to do is freaking cross a corner, and you're fine. And San Francisco,
a gang or culture issue, or
no, just like homelessness. Yeah, it's just there's definitely a growing. I don't know. Maybe it was because we were with Craig and we knew, you know, he had lived up there literally like through half of a year or a little bit more than half of a year, because his wife was having a major surgery up there. And so he got to know the town really, really well. So, I mean, we were traveling around with him. But, you know, we walked most of downtown Seattle. And, you know, I didn't feel nearly as uncomfortable as I do when I'm in San Francisco.
My closest experiences is Portland. That's my hometown. So I grew up spending a lot of time in downtown with my grandma. We rode the bus system. She lived right downtown on Broadway, and never, you know, it was a cultural experience. That was one thing I remember, comparing it to coming to Northern Nevada. Never didn't feel unsafe, especially with grandma, and looking back, you know, I was 16, 17 years old last time I was with her. And especially compared to LA, but I went to LA, you know, just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to find some similarities between LA and what this documentary has, because it's, you know, you're in the neighborhood of the rich, and then around the corner on the on-ramp to get out of their area onto the freeway is homeless camps.
Right.
It's just the contrasts are crazy. I mean, it's black and white, you know, rich to poor. It's incredibly how, you know, and it's there, and they aren't addressing it. What's your experience up in Seattle, Sean?
I have no experience in Seattle. The closest I've been was Fort Lewis for a training exercise, so I have no experience in Seattle.
Or San Fran, the other homeless capital of the West Coast.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I tend to stay away from big cities as much as I can. I am not a big city guy.
I might drive through them, but
San Fran is just it's a cool town, but man, I mean, just I haven't been back in a good year since a lot of the laws, maybe even 2 now, and since a lot of these things have gotten so much more liberal and tolerant of, you know, just public dumping of one's fecal matter, and I'm just seriously disappointed. I think it's an awesome town with a lot of cool history and a lot of cool people. So I'm not excited to go back, which we used to love to go there for concerts. That was like one of our big concert towns. I have an uncle that lives there that's got a lot of history there. He's lived there since the 70s and flipping cars with Harvey Milk, and you know, it's I'm quite bummed about the way things are going.
I don't understand the policies. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, there's no logic involved, and I just don't get it. And I wonder if a lot of this has to do with the opioid kind of, let's call it the opioid crisis, of just there's so much drug abuse and how bad those drugs are between that and meth and everything else. You know, it's not like it was 10 years ago when there was few people that were doing meth, whereas now meth or opioids or anything else, now it's everywhere, and it destroys you. You know, it's not like smoking weed or doing LSD in high school like some people do. It's one of those drugs that you do it once and you could be done completely for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that, I mean, I think big part of what we're seeing is, it's been 10 years, like you're saying, 15, 20 years, and meth has just continued. And I think like alcohol or any other long-term drug abuse or abuse of anything, food, fat, alcohol, whatever, we're seeing the long-term issues. And the fact that they've allowed, you talk to these people and it's like, do you work? No, I'm disabled. What's your disability? Well, I have mental issues. Well, you've had those since you were born? Like, when were you diagnosed? Well, about 2 years ago. What do you mean 2 years ago? You're like 35. Well, I used a lot of meth, and it caused this. And the fact that a drug abuse issue can cause you to be disabled, a voluntary thing you chose to do,
Right.
with no, it's not like you chose to go to war and lost a leg or had an issue,
Right.
or something in the line of duty type issue. It's you voluntarily chose to use an illegal substance, and now the government is going to pay you for the rest of your life because you are quote unquote disabled.
Yep.
And it's just a long-term issue, and I don't think there's a reason not to do it. If you're a person that wants to try drugs, you know that if you fuck up, worst thing that's going to happen is you're on disability for the rest of your life, and you can probably still use a little bit. I just don't get why the mindset is that we need to take care of these people to this extreme. Yeah, they need medical treatment. But I'm not going to pay you because you did this to yourself. I really have very little, I try to be a caring person, but I lose a lot of caring when I feel like you're just taking advantage of the system.
Yeah, and they get absolutely nowhere on relying on the system and getting paid.
No. Yeah,
They're
no
like,
motivation to get treatment or improve their condition.
Yeah.
Or stop using.
Right. It's just the life that they love and live. It's just like the homeless people that, when you try to give them pamphlets and information on how to better themselves, they don't want it. They don't want it at all. And you and I, HB, have seen that personally where, we've been forced as police officers in the past to, supply them with information on how to obtain housing or food or clothing or showering, and they're just like, no, we don't want it. We love the lifestyle we're living, and we'll sit here and continue to pollute the river and everything else and live off of the river. And, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very small minority that, I like to legitimately talk to these folks and, what made you choose this lifestyle? What did you do, 20 years ago? Because you're in your 40s or 50s, which has changed too. It's not older folks as much as it was with homelessness. Now it's a lot younger, 20, 30-year-old folks. But I'd ask, and I'm a dad. I have grown kids. I was an accountant, and I just decided I was done. I didn't want to bother with the day-to-day, paying the house and doing the landscaping and, raking the leaves. And I just, and those folks I honestly called, urban mountain men. They decided to live off the new land, and they were fine with, okay, I can't do this here. Well, I'll move along. And they were respectful, and I was respectful back, and their rights end when other people's rights start, and we can work on this. But nowadays it's like, do you want me? Here's the shelter. Want me to take you there? No, I won't go to the shelter. It's filthy. It's dirty. It's gross. It's I get my stuff stolen. I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yep.
But this is your option, and it's all localized in one place. You either go there, or you're going to be given options that you don't have a choice whether you take or not. And I don't know. It's like it's okay to not have a drive in life anymore and to be goal oriented and have a career and a legacy for your family, and it's unacceptable to me.
I think we've
on a lighter note.
I think we've kicked that horse enough. We'll go ahead and go on to
We'll definitely beat it. We can beat it well till next week after we watch the doc, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? All
right. By the way, I found your doc on YouTube also.
Oh, yes, I did see it on YouTube. That's right.
Okay, so
but I wanted to go more from the source to make sure we got it true. But yes, YouTube should have it.
Okay, so Seattle is Dying on Como or YouTube?
YouTube.
All right, we'll go ahead and go on to mine. I selected Breaking 2, and when you type it in, so it's a National Geographic, and it's on Disney+. So apparently it's all one word in the way of the spelling of the title, Breaking 2, as in the numerical number 2. It's got a runtime of 55 minutes and this is the description of it. After 6 months of scientifically advanced training, 3 of the world's most elite distance runners set out to break the 2-hour marathon barrier. These pioneers go on a global trek to defy the unthinkable and break the 2-hour feat from testing in wind tunnels and running labs in the United States to balance training with the day-to-day lives in Eastern Africa to the final heat-pounding race in Italy. It's got a 7.6 IMDb score, and it's not scored on Rotten Tomatoes for whatever reason, because it's been out for a while, too, 2017. So, not exactly sure why it doesn't show up there, but somebody at work, I think it was Jake, had mentioned this one, that he watched it and thought it was a really good documentary that we should consider, so I looked it up, and especially since it's on the Disney Plus app, and that's the rave right now, I decided to go ahead and select. And that's insane to try to break the 2-hour mark. So we'll see.
What kind of miles that?
It's 26 miles.
Yeah, what kind of mile, like what mile time, I guess you'd say? 10-minute miles?
I don't know.
2-minute miles?
Watch the documentary.
I'm working on it.
I will have to. It's crazy. Sounds wild. Sounds suicidal.
Well, it's like the old, breaking the mile run in 4 minutes kind of thing. Is it humanly possible? And they try to scientifically prove that it is or is not. So that's my selection. And again, Sean selected Science Fair, Disney Plus. HB selected Seattle is Dying, found on either Como or YouTube. Yep. And if you do not have Disney Plus, what's wrong with you? I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're obviously on the wrong podcast and should just cancel your subscription or whatever.
Disney owns everything, and soon they will own you.
Yes, exactly. They just need to buy out Warner Company, I guess, and then they'll. But the crazy thing is Apple could come over the top and buy them all out. You
think so?
Oh yeah, easily.
They got the cash money for that?
Yeah, Apple's already talked about in the past buying out Disney.
Well, Disney has to agree to it. They can't.
No, I know.
I don't know. I think that'd be a fun battle to watch, Disney versus Apple.
I don't think they could get away with it. I don't think Apple could get away with buying Disney in the way of monopoly laws.
Making the computer have hardwired into it everything Disney.
Right. I don't know.
Microsoft tried it.
Yeah.
Microsoft's a bunch of idiots. They can't even create a good freaking Skype program, okay?
What's it say about Apple if they don't create a competitor that's of any value?
Whatever, dude. They know better.
Yeah.
They're just like this. Well, okay, well, go buy an Apple product and we'll do FaceTime, and it'll be seamlessly done with no issues like we have every week with Skype. I never hear anybody complaining about FaceTime.
I have a Windows-based computer, and Skype seems to work just fine.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Whatever. That's why we were half an hour late, because it's freaking Skype. No problems. All right. A little too much whiskey tonight.
Keep it coming.
Muttering my words. All right, we're going to go ahead and go on to our short doc of the week. And after we watch it, I'll let you know what that was.
Keeping it short and snappy, a quick look and conversation on a few short subject docs.
All right, so our short for this week, of course, as typical, is on Vimeo, and it is called Master/Mind. The description is, the human brain is the most complex object in the universe. Well, as far as we know. Our understanding of it, its inner workings, has been shrouded in mystery. Until now. New technologies are being unlocked for the brain's true potential, but at what cost to humanity? It's got a runtime
The
of what?
cost.
Right, the cost. Is there really a cost? It's like 8.5 minutes long. So.
There's like 7 Terminator movies about the cost to our humanity.
Well, they just erased
Not to mention a series.
Right. Well, the new movie just erased everything after 2, though.
Oh boy, I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Neither have I. But from what I've understood from other podcasts, like Pop Culture Leftovers and such, is that it starts over or erases anything after Terminator 3. So the new Terminator movie is Terminator, what would I guess be considered 3.
Okay.
Which has absolutely nothing to do with this short.
Yes. I was thinking something of a film as soon as I saw this. Did you guys see the 2014 Johnny Depp movie Transcendence?
I did not.
It was a blockbuster, folks.
Yeah, I know. I should have seen it. I know I should have seen it, but I did not.
It's we stumbled across it on like Netflix. I think my wife found it, and it was like a new version of the old Lawnmower Man. You remember that one where the special needs guy gets jacked into the computer system?
Yeah.
So this is on that same lines, and it's totally like this, like the question of backing yourself up into the computer system, and that's what Johnny Depp does. And he starts out as like a don't lose your humanity, and but by the end of it, he is like the whole internet, and like it's crazy. He ends up being everywhere. He can pull nutrients or minerals, I should say, out of the earth and create things tangibly just by his Wi-Fi connection. To put it bluntly, it's crazy, but it's along these same lines of like, putting the human mind into a digital format and preserving it, and therefore like never dying.
Sounds like an acid trip I had one time.
Yeah. Toads.
I think I actually watched that on acid, but
I'd recommend it if you want to take this short and turn it into like a what if. I'd say that movie does it.
Cool.
What do you guys think?
I mean, we have Elon Musk, who's already asking for like people to volunteer to put chips in their brains and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm on that list. Yeah.
You haven't passed that background test yet?
I was just about to say, anybody that does that is a freaking idiot. So, so congratulations.
So
you'll make history.
Feel that takes you down the path of the beast and that whole religious issue.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the world was going to end with Israel strikes this week, so.
Well, I didn't think I was going to make it to 21, so.
Yeah. Did you see that on the news, HB? I sent it to Sean. Yeah, Israel's been under attack all week, man.
But they've been under attack a lot.
No, this is like straight up like missile attacks and stuff. Like, this is a whole new level.
Yeah,
like,
have they rebuilt the temple yet?
Like seven horses series.
Really? Well, I mean, I think that's one thing I fear with all this stuff, as in like what this short was about, like putting your brain and, having like a, some sort of connection, cyber connection that labels you with a number or a type of brain or, all these different versions of what we don't know the Bible is referring to. Right. I have a lot of fear in that, and I definitely... I don't know. I'll play around online and do all sorts of crazy stuff and look and learn about stuff, but jacking my brain into the internet and becoming a cyber human, it's not going to happen for me.
That's what Elon wants. He wants us all to get plugged in through a chip in your brain.
I'm not so arrogant as to think that my brain has anything special that needs to last beyond my lifetime. You know what? But I'll accomplish what I accomplish, and when it's done, it's done. I'm happy with it.
Don't need to save it for future generations.
No, I don't think so. I may make, pedestrian conditions better on Virginia Street, but I don't think that's really something that needs to be passed on to future generations.
Wouldn't it be a trip though if you could like log into the app on your phone, like whatever it's called, and like almost like you're talking to Google, like Google your grandfather.
Right.
What was it like when you were in World War II? What was it like when you met Grandma? How did you propose to Grandma? Like, that'd be a trip.
What was your acid trip like in 1950? 1995.
Yeah.
Mine would be
did you do in Vietnam?
Right. Mine would be all about what not to do. Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's weird.
It's a well done doc, though. I mean, it's a very interesting and very well, for the short intro. I was well done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you want to know about brain science and all that jazz, you can go check this one out. We're going to go ahead and go from our short stock to our breakdown.
Prepare to be spoiled. In the breakdown section, our co-hosts go deeper into the conversation and truly express their thoughts on the documentaries.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go into our breakdown, and I'm going to select you.
So I went with Free Solo on Disney Plus. No reference to Han. This one came out in 2018. It's got a runtime of 1 hour and 40 minutes. It has an 8.2 on the old IMDb, and it was pretty high in the Rotten Tomatoes, I believe. And it's down and dirty of it is Alex Honnold, Honnold, attempts to become the first person to ever free solo climb El Capitan. And a free solo climb, if you don't know, is basically you and some powder and no ropes. So, I watched this. Yeah, I was some huge things I liked about this, like the video cinematography, I guess. Like I mentioned during the initial introduction of it last week.
Yeah.
Like the cameramen were crazy to like go up there and set up these cameras. Even though in the end you find out they set up a lot of like remote cameras, they had to go up there to do that. They didn't just, and there's a few drone shots, I guess. But just some of the crazy big cinematography shots of El Capitan and some of the other places that he climbs are just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's breathtaking.
But then getting to know Alex, he's got some issues.
To say the least.
Even his own mom says he would basically be Asperger's probably, like in his family. But it's crazy the amount of focus this guy has on this one thing, and I guess the book that he wrote somehow makes him able to afford to live without doing anything but living in a van that he probably parks down by the river occasionally.
Live down by the river in a van.
It is a nice van, though.
It is, and he even gets like a chick to come live in it with him off and on, that he describes as being cute and not taking up much space.
Yeah, because she's so skinny.
She is cute, but she has no breasts. and that's my thing. I like curves, and she had no curves. It was like, no,
it was a tiny little thing. She didn't strike me as being that bright at times, and I don't think him and her realistically were on the same page.
Not even close. No. They were miles apart.
Yeah, he is like Mr. Climb. I'm dreaming about it, thinking about it. When I'm not thinking about it, I'm doing it. and she like is on cloud 9 when they finally buy a house in Vegas for some reason, and he ends up sleeping in his van in the driveway of that house. I found out.
Oh, really?
He doesn't even legitimately live in it for a long time. He lives in his van in the driveway. And then you see in the movie though how they go and buy a fridge, and it like is a mini fridge for like a trailer.
Yeah.
What?
Dude,
this is
let it go, dude.
This is definitely the one we want.
Yeah, I totally called that out. I told Jen, like she was watching this one with me. I was like, dude, he's gonna go for the smallest fridge that they've got there. And sure enough, the next scene, they've got the G&E freaking like 12 cubic foot, like small ass fridge that they're buying. You know,
my college dorm.
Yes, exactly. Super small. I was like, yep, knew it.
But I mean, you know, spoiler as we say, you know, he does it. It is crazy. Like he just wakes up one day and decides I'm doing it, and his girlfriend leaves, and he just goes.
And he did it like, faster for a guy with a rope. Like
3.5 hours or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy fast.
He was done before. Yeah. So between this documentary and the other one, like you're constantly freaking watching the clock, the one that I selected. Yeah, he's done. He starts at like 6 o'clock or prior to that, and he's done within like 3 hours.
Yeah. And he's just moving. And like the thing of watching this, I was watching this with my wife for a little bit. She's like, can we watch something else? Like the stress of this, I can't watch this before bed.
Oh,
the music, there's really good score behind it. Build your adrenaline up, build your stress level up. But in watching him at one point when he's and then when he's climbing, he literally has a toothbrush and he is scraping like places on the rock where he's like, oh, I could grab that. And I'm like, it's flat. There's nothing to grab. And he's literally like on his toes in these little grippy sock shoe things.
Right.
And he's like that's how he's holding on to the side of this mountain 2,000 feet up and supporting his whole weight with like a fingertip and a toe tip. Yeah. And he's relaxed at times doing that. Like, oh, I'll get some talcum powder, whatever that stuff is. And all right, let's go. Like, are you crazy?
Yes, he is crazy.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
And he does like finger pull-ups in his van.
Yeah. The board.
He's got his fingers. Man, they got to be crazy strong.
Right.
Well, he finishes free climbing El Cap, and then I'm gonna go work the fingerboard again, the same day.
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
I'd have been too drunk to get down the mountain.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. I was like, how's he get down? Do they let him give him a rope, or is he hike down the other side or something?
I think there's
because that's the tragedy. Yeah. He made it to the top, and then he climbed down and fell.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my wife.
It was funny watching this when he did the first attempt, and he's like 500 feet up, you know, on the first slope.
Yeah.
And he kind of, you know, he's like, yeah, it's not good. He knows it's not good. And I'm thinking, he's screwed. Like, what do you do?
Right.
You know,
you back down that.
It's not good, but I can't get back down. And, you know, if I slip, I'm dead. Right. And I'm on the first face. I haven't even gotten anywhere yet.
Yep. Yeah.
About how much research he could describe, like.
Oh yeah.
Step by step by finger step.
He had that whole mountain memorized.
Yeah, and that's like when Jen was watching it, is like she didn't see the part where the mom was talking about him being either like Asperger or autistic, and Jen even said that. Like, is he autistic or Asperger or something? Because how can you recite the entire flight of that wall almost verbatim and like keep it in his head if he wasn't like that, you know? Because that's a typical thing of like an Asperger person, you know, is that they can memorize like every single step, you know? And yeah, that was impressive. Like, and it was interesting because there was the first wall, which was the most challenging, and then what was it, like the 5th or 6th wall, which was the karate kick, I think is what they call it.
Yeah. The boulder. The boulder is what it's called. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the boulder climb or whatever it was. Yeah, yeah, where he had to do that karate kick, and it's like he only had one chance to do that move, and if he missed it, he was dead.
Yeah,
you know, there was no rethinking that move.
The guys down below are more stressed than him. By that point, he's smiling, especially when he does it, and the guys below are just like dying, like getting gray hair by the second.
Oh yeah, that one guy couldn't even watch it.
Like what?
You know,
yeah,
just check the monitor every once in a while and make sure it's still centered, and then look away.
He's like, I'm never doing this again. I don't care. I don't care whatever he finds. I am never doing this again.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was interesting. Like they go through it, and he's like, everybody I know that freak solos like I do is dead.
Yeah.
And one guy literally dies during the filming, like one of his best friends or whatever.
Dude, that's intense.
Yeah, but then even his mom said, I couldn't, he doesn't tell me, but he tells me afterwards, and he needs this. Like, without this, he wouldn't be him.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I wish he should have brought a sponsor, like, should have a t-shirt with sponsors on it.
Yeah.
So, he didn't, I mean, the video, I don't know what he's making money off of. Like, he's got to get a job.
Well,
Jen accomplished this crazy thing.
Yeah, well, Jen asked that too. Like, how's this guy do? How's he making his money? And
at one point, I think he said he has a foundation that he makes some money off of.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be making money off of Northern Face or whatever.
Oh, North Face, yeah.
Yeah, North Face.
He was sponsored by Cliff Bars, I read.
Yeah, he's got to have quite a bit of sponsors going. For sure, man. He's the #1 top climber. I mean, you've got these stupid motorcyclists making millions off of freaking sponsorships.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean he's deserving of some sponsorships. One thing I realized I didn't know until after I was doing some back looking up info on this. It won the 2018 Best Documentary for the Oscars.
For the Oscars, wow.
Yeah, it won an Academy Award for Best Documentary. So I didn't know that, but yeah, it's legit.
Oh, it is good. There's no question. This is a required documentary. I think. I after watching this, I told everybody at work they had to watch it because it's the edge of your seat. That last 45 minutes of that doc, I could barely sit still. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and the whole time I'm thinking, "There's no way he dies."
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm still thinking, man, this is crazy. Every second of this is crazy.
Right. Yeah, because you see him fail on the very first wall with rope.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how are you going to accomplish? What was it? 7 walls?
No, it's more than 7. It's a lot more than 7. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3,000 feet.
Right. So, yeah, how are you going to accomplish all those when you're so freaked out about just the very first wall?
Yeah.
But he was so joyful about accomplishing that first wall and then walking by the dude that was freaking camped out in the freaking unicorn. Uniform.
Yeah, it was a trip.
Yeah.
He practically jogs right by him.
Oh, yeah, he's like all like waving and laughing at the dudes. And I'm sure those guys were freaking out. Like, this guy doesn't even have freaking ropes,
Yeah.
Climbing the wall.
I wonder if that's an issue, like random kind of homeless climbers that just hang themselves on these walls like that, and it's like, whatever, I'm here. They're quasi homeless campers.
There's a lot of money.
I actually kind of wondered that because Yosemite, it's tough to get a backcountry permit in Yosemite.
Yeah.
And he's camped there all freaking summer. So I wondered if because he's a celebrity, in the climbing world, if at Yosemite he's got free reign, and doesn't need a backcountry permit or anything. Because it's not like you can just walk into Yosemite and go climb El Cap.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that this was the #1 challenge.
As a climber?
Yeah, as a climber. Or yeah, to climb a wall like that. With it being so close to us.
It looks pretty scary to me.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I mean, Yosemite is not just El Capitan, but Yosemite is the premier mountain climbing, rock climbing place.
Yeah. And it's
'Cause you
what,
got the
like
nice weather,
5
too.
hours? 5 hours away from us? If
I
that?
don't even think it's that far.
I've honestly never been. I hate to tell you.
What?
Oh, really? You
Yeah.
Dude, it's not
You
even
must
like...
go.
I think it's 4 hours drive.
I know it's
Yeah.
on my list. It's on my list. I'm gonna take the boys, but yeah, never been.
Oh, my gosh.
Even
dude.
if you just go, like we went one time on our way back from Monterey.
Yeah.
We just went to Yosemite, spent the night outside of the park, and then just went in for the day. Went in and went to the lodge and just drove around and looked at Bridal Veil Falls and Half Dome and all that stuff, and then drove out on the eastern side to get to cut over into Nevada.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's one of those places you could go and camp for weeks, or you could just go for a day, and you can see a lot of Yosemite. It's pretty accessible. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last
I
time I
definitely
was...
give this a required.
Oh, totally. Totally required.
It's also required for anyone that's young and in love and needs to understand how relationships work.
And how they fail.
This relationship will not work. I guarantee it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude. It was fun watching this one with Jen. Because she was just like, what the hell is she thinking?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's oblivious to her. Like, he even kind of is open about it in his own way. Like, she's thinking about this, and I'm thinking about the wall. Like, she
Right.
is on, cloud nine, and he's just climbing the wall. He has no concept of it.
Right.
I gotta think his finger work is the only thing that makes him valuable.
Yeah. How he can hold on to that button. I mean, lip. I mean,
Just the tip.
right. Jeez. Thank you, HB, for that one.
Well, he does a lot of finger work, That's what he did right after he finished the whole wall. The finger work.
Oh my gosh. That was good.
What were you going to say before that, Sturdy?
I have no idea. All right. We'll go ahead and go on to our next selection, and we'll go on. We'll do my selection, and that was, what the heck was it? All right, here we go.
Fire in Paradise.
Yeah, Fire in Paradise. On 9/8/18, a fire broke out in California near the town of Paradise. Over the course of a few hours, the campfire, which was named by the dispatcher, which was completely, I don't know, what would you call that? Misdirection.
There's reasons behind it.
Yes. Grew into the country's deadliest wildfire in over a century. Through first-hand footage of the disaster and interviews with survivors and responders, Fire in Paradise retells the survival stories from that day. And man, talk about anxiety from one documentary to the next, because I literally watched them in that order. I watched yours, HB, and then I went to this one. It's like, oh, fantastic, more anxiety. And so it was nice to watch yours, Sean, with a little less anxiety.
I watched yours first, Sean, so it just built from there.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you went the freaking wrong direction on that, man.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like one of the most deadliest wildfires. Because, like, historically, when you think about, like, fires and deaths, you think about, like, Chicago in the 1800s, right?
San Fran.
Yeah, the
San
Francisco
Fran.
earthquake, and
Yeah, and those fires. And those are, like, 1700s. Nothing within the 21st century,
No
fires.
modern firefighting equipment.
Right. But then you have nature just beating the shit out of you, you know?
This was crazy.
Yeah, and this is like, what, not even an hour, 2 hours drive from us here?
Yeah, it's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, and, well, I love that in this documentary, they give you a scene or kind of an informational, like, I don't know, blurb towards the end of how many wildfires have happened within the last, like, 2 decades in California or, like, in the Western Coast.
Mm-hmm. It's like ticking by.
Yeah, it's just ticking by. And it's like both of these documentaries is like you're watching the clock. Mm-hmm. You know, and this one, the campfire starts at, like, early 6?
I think it was 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
All right, HB, you're our historian. Or maybe you know, Sean. So what ultimately caused... Because they didn't cover that in this documentary, which I thought was a little bit interesting. Of, like, exactly what caused this fire.
Oh, I don't know. It was a down power line, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They talk about it. They notified PG&E on November 6th that they were forecasting the power outage due to high winds. And then, so literally at 6:44 in the morning, an electrical machinist took the first 2 photos of the fire, and it was already 10 acres. So they say that at 6:33 is when a fire under the power lines at Poe Dam was reported by a PG&E Rock Creek powerhouse worker. So he reported it was the location is accessed by the Camp Creek Road above Poe Dam and the Feather River Railroad tracks. So within minutes is when it just goes up from there. So that's where they got the name. It's accessed by Camp Creek Road, so it's a campfire. But within 10 minutes, 6:33 to 6:44, it's 10 acres big. And they've already started sending in photos, and airborne planes are taking pictures of it from PG&E.
Right. So 1 acre a minute.
Pretty much, yeah.
Basically,
at the beginning. And then it just exponentiates itself after that.
Well, the winds were so high. There was, it was blowing embers miles.
Right.
So they hadn't had water, I guess, that year yet. They hadn't had a good storm yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But dryness and fire creates its own wind, though.
True.
I mean, there's that one scene of the freaking fire tornado.
The fire tornado, yeah.
Yeah, freaking ripping right through the middle of the town.
So let's talk about the cinematography in this, because this is clearly not somebody sent out a documentarian to take video of the campfire. Right. This was people's cell phone footage and what do you call it, dashboard cams and just the things you see on this documentary will blow your mind. It is terrifying watching this thing.
Dude.
Yeah, and the people talking just, like dispatcher, that dispatcher gal that you end up learning she names the fire because she was just the one that got the call.
Right.
There were times when I was literally on the tears were building. I did nothing, but I was just so stressed. Like I can picture her stress, and she's literally telling people like, yes, you will die if you don't get out. And by the way, I have to hang up on you because there's 20 other people ringing through right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the stress of that, not being able to do a damn thing about it, and then knowing that her house is, by the end of it, she's like, uh-oh, it's coming to where I live, and I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I don't know if this guy, those cops at that one intersection were the bravest guys on the planet or the smartest guys on the planet, that they just stopped and said, okay, get out of your car.
Right.
Everybody follow me.
That's when you know that you're either deciding everybody's going to die or you're hopefully making the right decision, because that was hundreds of people they literally gave either a death sentence to or a life-saving goal to.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's crazy. Like they literally decided we're gonna take a stand right here.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they breaking into buildings? The buildings are all burning.
Yeah.
I would rather stand out in the open and, like, I don't know, give me a trash can lid to smack away the, like, missiles of fire that are landing on me. I don't want to get into their building. They're all burnt.
Right.
And then it's a propane farm that they're next to.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Boom. And you can hear it in the footage, just those propane tanks going off.
Yeah, and like the one guy who was talking about, like, I've never been in a situation of war, but that's exactly what I felt like was I was in war, and he was freaking dead on accurate with that, because he was talking about how, like, you feel it before you freaking ever see it. And
it shocks your body or hits your body before you.
Yeah, and that's straight up the honest truth, because I've experienced that in freaking Iraq. Is like you can feel that shock wave of the implosions or the explosions or the tanks going off or whatever the frick it might be. You can feel your body shake from the inside out before you ever even freaking hear it. It's the weirdest freaking sensation. Like, I've been out, like, in the middle of Iraq, outside of Baghdad, where, like, you can feel the explosion, like, impact your body and just, like, rattle every cell of your body, and then you can literally sense which direction it came from. And so you can look to that direction, and then you see the explosion happen. It is the weirdest sensation. And when he said that, I was just like, he was literally right there in the middle of those tanks going off. I mean, you do not know that sensation unless you've experienced it yourself. And yeah, dude, when he started talking about that and then seeing those cell phone footage of it where you can hear it in the background, just ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And there's always that section, that like second explosion of it too. It's just not like boom, it's ba-boom, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just like that is exactly real of what they're experiencing in this freaking parking lot of cement. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And how about the teachers making the decision to evacuate and stay with their kids for 6 hours on a school bus?
Yeah.
And then the bus driver deciding, like, how to make, temporary emergency air filters
Yes.
out of his T-shirt and a bottle of water.
That was genius, though.
The guts on that bus driver too,
Yeah.
Not that he had a
Stress.
choice at that point, but just,
Yeah, 100 lives all banking on you not getting them killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the footage in this, I definitely think, touching on that, like you said, it's crazy that, like, these people were filming it at the times that they're also probably in the most stressful situation they've ever will be in.
Right.
Driving through, like, literally roadways that have flames, like, washing across them, like you see. It reminded me of how you see snow blow across a road, but it was burning orange embers.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just like that, like the one police guy, the fire guy rather, he decides we're going. And he just drives his F-250 or whatever it is, just we're going. And he just punches through it.
A wall of fire. Literally like flames punching across the road.
Yeah. That part of the movie made me so pissed. Just, these people that think they're smarter than everybody else, and they refuse to leave their house, and so he has to fight with them just to get them into the car, and then they still, no, we gotta go get the dog, dude. You don't understand.
The damn dog.
You get out of this car, you're dead. You're going to die.
Yeah.
I was pissed at that part.
Yeah.
Yes,
there's that scene with the horses too, and I honestly was like, I remember reading somewhere, just let the horses go, and they will survive best on their own. They'll find a way to run.
Yeah.
On their own, just don't keep them contained.
Yeah. And that was the Santa Barbara fire that they were covering there.
Yeah, that one wasn't the campfire with the horses.
Yeah, that was
At
Santa
the very
Barbara.
end?
Yeah. Because they were going over all the California fires that year. And that was Santa Barbara. Because I remember that scene. Yeah, with the Santa Barbara fires going on. And all the horses that were in threat there. And those are like multi-million-dollar horses, dude.
Yeah.
They're just about to go up in flames.
Well, up in flames. So how about the scene at the end when they go back and they literally sift through all the ashes?
Oh, jeez.
And there's that scene where the one dude is looking for his buddy and his wife,
Yes.
and he literally has footage of a skull and like his buddy is dead, burnt into
Finds
the
the car,
passenger seat of the car.
Yes.
Like they didn't stay on that. I felt like they should have gone back to that for a second because I was like, that was him. He literally was like burnt to the bone.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a prop from a Halloween setup.
It does. Yep.
Yeah. How about flashbacks to Iraq for me? Like, I had Quinn watching it with us, because we're just trying to keep us calm. Trying to keep her calm, because she wanted to watch TV with us. And I was like, you've got to be kidding that they just showed that. It's like, yeah, I've seen that in war, in Iraq. Yeah. We talked to Quinn afterwards. We were like, are you okay? Do you have any questions? Like, seeing a burning body in a Jeep, So, yeah. No, that was...
I didn't realize how bad this was. I have a friend whose mom lived up there. She survived, and she's, I think staying in the Reno area. But she was up there when this happened, and it's just crazy. Like, I didn't realize how quick this happened and how devastating it was. And, it was 2 weeks later, it was over. But, that first 4 hours, it's like they got nuked.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I didn't really, we hear so much about fires here in this area. It didn't register just how crazy this one was for the people around it.
Yeah, we talk about defensible space. For those of you that don't live in the western United States, defensible space is you go and you make sure there's no underbrush or anything close to the house, and so that you can stop a fire before it gets to your house. It wouldn't have made any difference in Paradise. It was that fire moved so fast, and the winds were blowing so hard that it would have cleared any defense. I mean, it was clear on the highway, like it wasn't even there.
Oh, totally.
It was launching fireballs miles, I guess, to that school playground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that one old lady. She was talking about biblical times and reading about fireballs literally falling from the sky. And that's what happened with this fires is it started to the west of Paradise. But then the fire jumps the entire city to the other side of the city, and literally encapsulates the city and burns
they were
it
surrounded.
down. Yeah, from all freaking sides, they were surrounded by this fire, and that's the scary part about all this. Is it's just what do you do?
Well, number one, you maintain your electrical equipment. That's the first step. And number two is you don't leave underbrush. You need to clear. You need to clear the fuel.
Right.
This fire probably still would have been devastating because the winds were crazy that night. But if you cut down trees when they're dead, that makes a big difference. And get rid of the fuel.
Yeah, and so now nobody has power in California.
Yeah, now they just shut off the power.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and some of the stuff they're talking about, PG&E is saying that they need to harden their infrastructure, and they've been doing that over the last few years, and PG&E diverted half the funding that the legislature intended for them to use for it for other things. They said, well, it's $500,000 per mile to harden overhead utilities, but we'll put them underground, but that's $5 million per mile underground. So that's why PG&E is claiming they couldn't do this.
I need to start digging trenches for PG&E or something, because
right.
I'll do it for half that.
Because now they're facing multi-billion-dollar lawsuits, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are so
the CEO, former CEO of our company, he just retired, but The CEO of my company lost his house in the Santa Rosa fire,
Oh, jeez.
which was, I think, 2 years before this or a year before Paradise.
Yeah.
And it was the same kind of situation where people were, they were banging on doors and saying, "You need to leave right now. No, don't grab anything. Get in your car and go." And that's what happened to him. He had just enough time to get in his car and get out of there. And then another coworker I have had bought her dream property outside of Orville, and it burned in this fire. So she has nothing left. She can't even rebuild the property. It's a loss for her. So
complete loss.
Yeah, because it was an off the grid kind of farm that it was going to be her retirement. She was going to have this off the grid spot, and she backed up to some forest land, which was a bad idea in this case.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right down your route. The environmental issues after this. I guess people were allowed to go back and camp on their burnt out lots, which was not characteristically allowed, but due to there being about 30,000 of them, they made an exception.
Right.
And they said that there was, winter rains after the fire that, hazardous contaminants soaked into the ground.
Right.
And all the water, and that there was a big issue with benzene contamination from all the burnt plastic pipes.
Yeah.
And so that there was water tributaries within 244 square miles were contaminated with heavy metals and dioxins.
Wow.
That's
the largest hazmat cleanup in state history.
That's a mess right there. Huge mess.
Oh, it was devastating. I mean, the infrastructure is gone. And we've converted all of our, utilities to plastic pipe, some form of plastic, PVC or ABS or whatever it is. And everything is plastic now.
Yep.
You get fire and that's it,
Yeah, it's just like freaking here on the corner of, just at the gas station at the corner here, is like they're trying to put in this big apartment complex, and I drive by every day, and all those pipes are plastic,
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, how does that work, No concrete, no like cement, no brick, nothing. Everything's plastic, It's just like, if that stuff goes up, it completely devastates that area,
Yeah, plastic pipe is cheap and it's easy to install. So
it works for the requirements,
It works great as long as you don't have a fire or it doesn't get broke.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, as long as it's buried, it does pretty good. Right up until there's a fire that rolls through.
Right.
Well, it's flexible, right? Isn't there a little bit more flex in it than metal would have?
Oh yeah. Well, that's why
there's some. You don't get a lot of bend out of them.
Yeah, but
you do get some.
Yeah, and that's why it works, is because of the earthquakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Concrete pipe has its own problems. Not to mention the cost.
Yeah.
We used to use clay pipe. The problem with clay pipe is clay pipe's great right up until you dig next to it and then it breaks. Without even touching it.
Just the shaking and the cracking.
Yeah, because it gets brittle after years in the ground, but it works great as long as it's not exposed.
So clay, would that be considered the brick?
No, brick. Nobody uses brick pipe.
Well, I mean, like in the 1600s of New York.
Oh yeah, I mean the old brick, but that takes people that know what they're doing. To lay that much brick.
Yeah.
Not that contractors aren't smart, but they aren't bricklayers.
Right. All right. We'll go ahead and go on to our next documentary, and that'll be yours, Sean.
So my documentary was Crafting a Nation. This was from 2013. The American craft beer industry began its rise during the worst economic crisis in America since the Great Depression. In 2012, as the craft beer movement was sweeping the country, a team of visionary young filmmakers with a passion for both documentary film and craft beer tell the story of how the American dream is alive and well. The documentary film, Crafting a Nation, is the result. So in honor of that, I'm drinking a craft beer, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is kind of the granddaddy of craft beers. They've been around since 1980. HB has been partaking in several different craft beers tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Most recently, Left Hand Brewing Company out of Longmont, Colorado.
And Sturdy's drinking whiskey.
Yes.
So I thought this was a fun documentary. It was a little long, I would say. They could have cut it. They could have cut a little bit of this out, but
yes,
a nice little history on craft beer, how it's kind of grown, and if you listen to the filmmakers, this has saved the economy of the United States. I don't know if it's quite that powerful, but I like a good craft beer. I drink exclusively craft beer when I'm drinking beer.
Really?
So no Budweiser.
No.
Corona.
No.
Or what else?
Bud Light Lime.
Bud Light. That's still under the Budweiser. What's
the
the other one? Miller.
Stella.
Miller.
I don't drink Miller.
Miller
I will
High Life.
occasionally drink. I used to drink Coors, but I haven't drinking that in many, many years. So yeah, I'm exclusively a craft beer fan.
What's the reasoning? Did you make a concerted decision here?
So I found that if I drink Coors, which used to be my beer, I would drink 6 or 7 a night. But if I drink a craft beer, I will have 2, maybe 3 if I'm up late, or if I'm really drinking beer. Mm-hmm. But so it really cut back on my beer drinking when I went to switch to craft beers, and they just taste a lot better. I'm not a kid anymore. I don't drink to get drunk. I drink to enjoy the drink. So
yeah.
So I like a good craft beer.
They're not cheaper by any means.
No. And I could drink 6 Coors for the price of 2 craft beers, probably in most cases.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It definitely doesn't save money.
What do you think high school drinkers are drinking right now?
Oh, I'm sure it's the same old.
Bud Light.
Keystone and
Keystone Light.
Yeah. Milwaukee's Best.
Yeah.
Mickey's was my go-to. Mickey's 40s.
Yeah, Mickey's was ours. And what was the other one? Bulldog?
Oh, yeah, I remember Bulldog. That red Bulldog logo.
Yeah, red Bulldog.
Logo.
Yeah.
Red. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Because they were the first to go to a higher percentage, I think. When I was in high school.
Those are malt liquors, aren't they? They're not technically beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of fall into the Mickey's. Yeah.
Yeah, Mickey's. I would do 240s, and I was 17ish. And it was just a capacity issue, I think. I was just gonna retch. I probably couldn't drink that much water at one time.
Right.
But I would get it down. I remember the last time I tried, I took that last sip, powered it down, and just came right back up. It was rookie era.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. But I like the footage. I thought this was very polished done. Some of the shots in the breweries, and the way they were just overlaying who's who and descriptions, and I'd be curious to know who truly financed this, because there was some money used in making this
so
compared
the cinematography.
to
the cinematography in this is very it was very shot artistically, and whoever was working the camera really knew what they were doing, and edited it well as well.
Yeah.
Yes. I like that they came back at the end of the Black Shirt Brewery guys and showed that it paid off. At least their opening went well.
Right.
And I went to their website. I was honestly trying to see if I could buy a beer or 2 from them. But of course, they don't ship beer. They only sell T-shirts and hats. Because I thought that'd be interesting to see what kind of beer offerings they brought to the table.
Yeah.
But I guess that would be against the craft beer mentality. It definitely seems like there's a mentality of a driving distance range is all they want their beer to spread to.
Yeah.
They're not trying to go worldwide, nationwide by any means.
Which I found extremely interesting, like in the way of the state laws and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had like Texas. It's like,
yeah, Texas laws are weird.
Yeah. Like, why would you ever start a brewery company in Texas?
Well, so the way I understood it from the documentary was if you sell the beer on premises, then you can't distribute it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't sell it on premises, then you could distribute it. Because there was the other brewery, so they showed the one, what was it, Freetail or something like that had the bat logo.
Yeah.
They want to be a brew pub. They want people to come in and try their beer, and they want to sell the beer to them and talk to them. And then they showed the other guys that they just had free tastings on Fridays, and you could pay for you paid for a tour. You weren't paying for the beer, or no, even the tickets were free.
Right.
So you came for a tour, you got to drink the beer for free, but they distributed it. It was all canned on site. So it's really the Texas law is strange.
It is totally weird, man. Because, like, Nevada's completely freaking different. Like, you have to have a tap house on scene. That's mandatory.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, the inspections we have to do, you have to have the tap house on scene of where you brew the beer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, then there was that column that I sent to you guys that they're trying to increase the production limits in Nevada for the beer.
Yeah.
So it raises the limits for brew pubs in the state of Nevada, so how much beer they can produce. And that was ironically why I picked Revision and Sierra Nevada. They're like the youngest and the oldest, and they're signed on to support the bill. Because currently Nevada brew pubs are limited to 15,000 barrels of beer, which one barrel equals 31 gallons. And they want to propose they're going to come up with this whole 3-tiered system. So from 10,000 barrels up to a limit of 30,000 barrels. So depending on a bunch of different things. But
yeah, the 15,000 barrels doesn't really seem like that much in a year.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's why they're charging, $10 plus for a 6-pack.
Oh yeah.
It's not $6, $5 like it is for a Corona or a Coors Light or something. But yeah, I mean, I thought one thing I also thought of, like they made a big deal that this industry came to fruition and sprouted during a Great Recession. I'm like, it makes sense, like life sucks, you're losing your job. We're going to do this business in our backyard or our buddy's warehouse. Right. What else are you going to do when stuff goes down? Let's get drunk and make our own beer.
Yeah.
And if we're good at it, our buddies are going to buy it and their buddies are going to buy it. So it made total sense that this sort of industry would take off with the access to, like, it's, you Google it. And I have, I know of at least one guy at work that he makes a legit, barrel of beer every year, in his garage. He doesn't sell it, and he just has buddies over, and it's freaking good to go. It's good stuff. And he just Googled it. You buy a kit and, and you go from there.
The equipment's not that expensive, for the home brewer, to get into it and perfect your recipe.
Yeah.
There was definitely a type, though, when you see it, all these different craft brewery. There was definitely a type that gets into this.
There were no geeks. Like, there were no geek squad guys that lost their job at Best Buy that went into this.
No, definitely not.
These were all physical, skilled laborer type guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beard's mandatory.
Oh, absolutely.
That's so true, because like all the inspections I've done locally here in Sparks, same exact portfolio. They've got the beard going, they've got the attitude going, and everything. They exactly match the portfolio. But like one of the things that we found interesting is that the amount of water that they use is not so much in the beer, it's actually in the washout. Yeah, when they wash all those like sterns out and the big bats and everything, and wash it out into the sewer systems, that's where they're really hitting the water systems, is actually in the washout, not so much in the beer.
Are these places crazy bad or hard on sewer systems, or is it,
No.
compared to other businesses?
No, I mean, like you can smell them like miles and miles away in the way of the hops. I don't know what it is. Like, I've done inspection on hops or on these breweries, and you can smell that hops in your nose for like days on end. I mean, that stuff like sticks in your nose forever.
Yeah, I hope the craft industry keeps going. I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys catch the greatest moment in this documentary?
No.
Oh no.
So the guy in St. Louis that was talking about getting all the neighborhood people on board, because in St. Louis you have to have a signature from everybody within 300 feet or something like that. And he said the people that were your skeptics become your greatest promoters.
Oh yes, I do recall that.
There you go.
I remember that.
Did end up with the greatest moment in this.
Good job.
Which we've been kind of dry on the greatest moments the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, the Paradise one, everything was deadliest, horriblest, worst.
Yeah.
Right.
Worst, but not greatest anywhere.
Yeah.
I thought for sure we'd get one out of yours, HB, but there's no greatest in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good catch on that. I remember that scene. I totally remember that because I thought it was an interesting, like 300 feet of your door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd give this a recommend.
Yeah, totally.
Just a medium recommend. It didn't blow me away, but the cinematography was great. And like I said, it could have been shorter. We didn't have to interview every craft beer maker on the planet, but
yeah, I agree. I think it was a recommend. It was very entertaining. If you're a beer fan, it's interesting to know, some of the restrictions and difficulties and maybe why it is, I think, important to support this end of the beer industry.
Right. I totally agree. It's definitely a recommend. It's definitely lighter than the other two documentaries we watched in the way of anxiety levels and crying and such. But so after my half bottle of 1829 Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey, that's going to conclude our episode of Talks on Docs.
Talks on Docs is a community podcast, meaning we want to get to know you and to talk to you, the listeners. But to make that happen, we need you to first contact us. Please feel free to email us at talksondocs@gmail.com, or if you prefer, contact us on Facebook at Talks on Docs or on Twitter at Talks on Docs.
Beautiful day in this neighborhood, beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?